Wake up, rise up, Mell, be on the line. News, weather, truth, she delivers on time. Affirm your power, let the doubt unwind. Kickstart your soul, let your purpose shine. She don't just talk, she spark the flame from 7 to 8. She runs the game, Jamaica to New Orleans and all the world. The vibe don't sleep. Mell B drop gems while the world counts sheep. No fluff, no cap, just facts and fire. Affirmation flow that lifts you higher. Wake up, rise up, Mell B on the line. News, weather, truth, she delivers on time. Affirm your power, let the doubt unwind. Kickstart your soul.
Grand Rising, my kings and queens. It's your girl, Mell B, live on Lux Radio Network. It's Tuesday, January 27th, which is Tell Me Something Good Tuesday. The New Year hype might have faded for some of us, but not for all of us. If things aren't going exactly as planned, don't quit. Just pivot. Sometimes the detour is actually the shortcut to your destiny. Take a breath, adjust your mirrors, and keep it on pushing. All right, on to our affirmation of the day. And it is as I read. I am fluid enough to bend without breaking and focused enough to stay the course. Tuesday is often the reality of the week. This message suggests that that being stubborn about one's goals is beneficial, but being stubborn about the method can be dangerous. It's about learning to adapt when life throws a curveball at your schedule, which we know will happen every time. All right, on to our word of the day. Our word of the day is ebullient, meaning having or showing liveliness and enthusiasm, boiling or agitated as if by heat. For example, the community was ebullient. I didn't stutter yesterday and I'm stuttering today. The community was ebullient after hearing the news that the local youth center had finally secured its funding for the year. That's used in a sentence. All right, our urban slang word or phrase of the day is giving flowers, meaning to give someone credit, recognition, or praise while they are still alive and able to appreciate it. The origin of this phrase is, this beautiful expression comes from the Black church tradition. It draws from the idea that we shouldn't wait until a person's funeral to surround them with flowers. We should honor them and their greatness while we still can, and they are still here. So on this Tell Me Something Good Tuesday, I want to give my grandmother and my mother their flowers for being the backbone of our family for over 80 years. All right, on to news we can use today. So in headline news, the White House defends deportation strategy. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt reaffirmed the administration's commitment to strict immigration enforcement, despite intensifying backlash following the fatal shooting of a citizen in Minneapolis by federal agents. Also funding in Congress. Congressional Democrats have signaled they may block essential federal funding unless specific reforms and oversight are introduced to the current immigration enforcement practices. And last, a federal court is hearing arguments today regarding a temporary restraining order aimed at preventing federal agents and agencies from altering or destroying evidence related to recent enforcement encounters. Let's see how that works. All right, news in our city by city and country by country. Starting with New York. Following the recent moral debate on immigration, New York City officials are focusing on strengthening local sanctuary protections and supporting civil rights advocacy groups. Their community event there in New York is the Support Ukraine cocktail party at 95th and Rivington Street, a social fundraiser featuring music by key Kiev artist Victoria Vera Longdonini. Hopefully I said that right. To support humanitarian efforts. Los Angeles. LA city leaders are doubling down on neighborhood wellness as a response to urban stressors, emphasizing community-led estate and legacy planning for families. Los Angeles community event today is free educational seminar on estate planning, which will be held at the Courtyard by Marriott at Baldwin Park. It's a seminar hosted by the National Association of Family Services. Chicago. The Chicago Housing Authority is reviewing urban development plans to balance modern tech needs with the tech-free social spaces recently campaigned by the library system. Chicago's community event is the Lego Club, which will be held at the Woodson Regional Library. It's a design challenge and free build activity for children 8 to 12 to foster local creativity. In Atlanta, the city continues its January of Legacy initiatives with a focus on 2026 infrastructure improvements designed to better connect historic neighborhoods. Community event there in Atlanta is the Legacy of Dr. King Workshop, a city-sponsored community dialogue focusing on the future of Atlanta's civil rights landmarks. Houston. The Houston Housing Authority Board of Commissioners is meeting today to discuss agency updates and redevelopment projects for the upcoming fiscal year. Houston's community event is the HHA Board of Commissioners meeting, a public session at the Houston Housing Authority to discuss regional housing stability. Washington, D.C. The federal tension remains high in the district as the White House and Congress clash over legality and moral high ground of the ongoing national deportation campaign. DC's community event today is the National Mall Policy Walk, a guided tour for the public discussing the history of executive orders and their impact on DC residents. Miami. The city is balancing its high-end tourism season with new community awareness initiatives focused on cultural preservation in districts like Little Havana. Miami's community event today is the Mambo Tuesdays at Ball and Chain, a continuation of the city's celebration of live Latin music and community dancing in the heart of Little Havana. Tampa. Tampa Bay is officially honoring its Maritime service members today as a part of the Border Gasparilla season celebrations. Tampa's community event today is the 34th annual Salute to Coast Guard dinner held at the Hilton Tampa downtown, a gala honoring local Coast Guard units and volunteers from the west coast of Florida. Newport Richey. Good morning, Dad. Newport Richey is leaning into its arts and entertainment scene this week with a focus on live music as a driver for downtown revitalization. Newport Richey's community event today is the live music series, Bourbon on Main, featuring local bands as part of the Stepping Out on the Town January entertainment circuit. Milwaukee. Good morning, family. Milwaukee cultural centers are highlighting the immigrant experience through food and music, aiming to bridge community divides through shared heritage. Milwaukee's community event today is Polka and Pigori at the Wilson Commons, a cultural celebration featuring Pigori making demonstrations and traditional polka music. Vancouver. Vancouver's culinary and academic sectors are collaborating to highlight the human element of serving during the annual Dine Out Vancouver Festival. Their community event today is the Ugly Duckling at L'Abattoir Collective Dinner at L'Abattoir, a high-profile collaboration between executive chef Jasper and guest chefs. Toronto. Toronto is focusing on the preservation of Canadian art and vocal music, showcasing Juno Award-winning talent to the public this week. Toronto's community event is Tuesday Voice Series Canadian Art Song Showcase at Walter Hall, featuring the compositions of Vivian Fung. Bless up, Jamaica. Kingston. Business leaders in Kingston are emphasizing women's empowerment in the corporate sector following a major vision boarding summit over the weekend. Their community event today is AC Hotel Vision Boards Showcase, a display of goals and community aspirations from local women leaders. Montego Bay. Tourism officials report a strong rebound following Hurricane Melissa, with a focus on sustainable growth and global hospitality partnerships for 2026. Montego Bay's community event today is the Global Tourism Growth Forum, a meeting of industry leaders to discuss the 2026 travel outlook for the Caribbean. Ocho Rios. Ocho Rios is expanding its family-friendly festival offerings to run parallel with the island's famous music weekends. Ocho Rios community event today is the Ocho Rios Cultural Fun Fest, a daytime event featuring local music, traditional food, and beach activities for families. Negril. Negril continues to lean into its live music capital reputation, with daily events supporting local musicians and performers. Negril's community event today is Drifters Daytime Live Music at Drifters Bar, a community staple featuring live performances from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Cayman Islands. The islands are wrapping up Brackfest and shifting focus toward upcoming national wellness and agricultural showcases. Cayman Islands community event today is the Brackfest Wellness Wrap-Up, final community yoga and health sessions concluding the annual Cayman Brack Festival. Nassau, Bahamas. Nassau is observing Community Awareness Week, featuring cultural education sessions and community lunches across different neighborhoods. Nassau's community event today is Food, Folks, and Fun at the Fox Hill Community Center, a community gathering focused on Bahamian heritage and social connection. Nigeria. The Nigerian military has announced that several officers will face trial following an investigation into the recently thwarted coup plot. Their community event is the Uba Sani Bus Terminal Development Briefing, an update for the public on the ongoing transit infrastructure projects in the region. And Ghana. Ghana's political landscape is heating up as the new Patriotic Party, the NPP, flag bearer race sees Kennedy Ajompong emerge as a frontrunner in recent studies. Ghana's community event is the NPP Flag Bearer Election Forum, a public broadcast and discussion regarding and the readiness of security in the upcoming election. All right, on to our weather. New York will be chilly and sunny, temperatures staying near or below freezing most of the day, with a high of 34 and a low of 19. Los Angeles, mostly sunny and pleasant, with a high of 66 and a low of 50. Chicago, very cold with lingering snow flurries, with a high of 26 and a low of 12. Atlanta, sunny but frigid. A state of emergency remains in effect for parts of the region due to the cold. So your high is going to be 38 and your low is going to be 22. Houston, clear skies, cool morning, but warming up in the afternoon with a high of 64 and a low of 46. Washington, D.C., exceptionally cold weather with near record lows. Wind chills expected to dip below zero with a high of 25 and a low of 8. Miami, sunny with a high of 68 and a low of 53. Tampa, clear and blustery, unusually cold for the Gulf Coast. So Tampa, your high will be 58 and your low will be 38. Newport Richey, cold and sunny. A freeze warning is in effect for late tonight, though. So your high is going to be 56 and low of 34. Bundle up, Dad. Milwaukee, snowy morning turning into very cold, clear skies with a high of 24 and a low of 10. Ooh. Vancouver, mostly cloudy with light rain showers with a high of 42 and a low of 34. Toronto, Arctic air persists. Dangerously cold wind chills with a high of 23 and a low of 3. Jamaica, I'm so jealous of you guys' weather right now. Warm and partly cloudy with a slight breeze with a high of 85 and a low of 74. Montego Bay, passing morning showers followed by the sun with a high of 85 and a low of 74. Ocho Rios, partly cloudy with scattered afternoon showers with a high of 86 and a low of 71. Negril, mostly sunny and humid with a high of 84 and a low of 70. Cayman Islands, scattered clouds with with a warm tropical breeze with a high of 84 and a low of 76. Nassau, Bahamas, sunny, cooler than average due to the cold front moving from Florida coast. Your high is going to be 77 and your low 63. Nigeria, hazy and hot with a high of 91 and a low of 79. And Ghana, mostly sunny and humid with a high of 89 and a low of 77. Boy, those temperatures sound so good right now because we are freezing over here. All right, on to sports. In the NFL, the league is currently in the Super Bowl bye week following Sunday's conference championships. Super Bowl is next Sunday, February 8th on Fox. And for a special event for people that still want to watch some kind of football, the East and West Shrine Bowl takes place today in Frisco, Texas for the college stars looking to get drafted. All right, so on to the NBA. It was a busy Monday matinee and evening last night, so we have just a few. So we have the Hornets over the 76ers, 130-93. Charlotte was actually in the lead by 50 at one point. The Hawks over the Pacers, 132-116. The Lakers over the Bulls, 129-118. The Cavaliers over the Magic, 114-98. The Rockets over the Grizzlies, 108-99. Grand Rising, Ray. The Celtics over the Trailblazers, 102-94. And the Timberwolves, 108 over the Warriors, 83. And in the NBA tonight, we have the Trailblazers and the Wizards will be at 7 p.m. on, MNMT, KUNP, and NBA League Pass. We also have the Kings and the Knicks will be at 7:30. They will be on MSG, NBC Sports California. We have the Bucks and the 76ers at 8 p.m. They will be on NBC and Peacock, and also NBC Sports Philly. And we also have the Pelicans and the Thunder will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Bally Sports. We have the Nets and the Suns at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on AZ Family and YES. We have the Pistons and the Nuggets at 9 p.m. also. They will be on Altitude and FanDuel Sports Network. And last, we have the Clippers and the Jazz will play at 10 p.m. on NBC and Peacock and KJZZ. So Peacock has a doubleheader tonight for everybody. So once again, on Peacock tonight is the Bucks and the 76ers early, and then the Clippers and the Jazz late. And in the Jamaican Premier League, there are no games today. The league remains in a brief hiatus after Sunday's full slate. So action review resumes tomorrow with a doubleheader of those makeup games that we discussed yesterday. All right, on to our daily feature, which is, of course, Tell Me Something Good Tuesday. And our topic today is the Apple AirPods and microwaves speak the same language. So let's get geeky for a second, but in a fun way, because today is all about technology, accessibility, and the surprising connections that make our everyday lives easier, right? So did you know your Apple iPods and your microwave are basically operating on the same frequency? Yep, both use 2.4 gigahertz band, one of the most universal wireless frequencies on the planet. Now, why does this matter? Because 2.4 gigahertz is like the community center of the wireless world. It travels far, it penetrates walls, and it works in almost every country without special licensing. That means your Bluetooth headphones, your Wi-Fi router, your baby monitor, your smartphone devices, and yes, your microwave are all sharing the same digital neighborhood. So, good news about that is that the 2.4 gigahertz is part of what has made wireless technology affordable and accessible worldwide. So, it allows companies also to innovate without charging customers outrageous prices. It made it possible for billions of people, not just the wealthy, to access wireless communication. So the fun fact is microwaves don't interfere with your AirPods because they're dangerous. They interfere because they're powerful. Microwaves use 2.4 gigahertz to excite water molecules and heat your food. So think about that. So when someone warms up leftovers, your Bluetooth might glitch for a second, and your devices are literally speaking the same language. They're on the same wavelength. So my question is, if your microwave and your AirPods are on the same frequency, what is it doing to your ears? Have we all seen those social media posts about the AirPods in your ears and the damage it can do? This is why they're on the same wavelength as some of your other wireless devices. So I don't know. I'm starting to have a second thought about my AirPods. I don't want them cooking in my ears like my food cooks in the microwave. Anywho, on to our book club. The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter Woodson. We are on chapter 12. And chapter 12 is Hirelings in the Places of Public Servants. In this chapter, Woodson explains how Black public institutions, schools, churches, political offices, and community organizations often end up being run by people who are unqualified, uninterested, or disconnected from the needs of the community. He calls them hirelings, people who hold positions but lack purpose. Woodson argues that miseducation created a class of individuals who want the benefits of leadership without the burden of the responsibility. Instead of serving the people, they serve themselves, their egos, and other systems that appointed them. So the chapter in Woodson is warning, when the wrong people hold the right positions, the entire community suffers. Does that ring true to any other positions y'all can think of at this point? I can. So to summarize the chapter, Woodson explains that many Black institutions were intentionally structured to be controlled by outsiders, especially white philanthropists, boards, and political machines. These outside forces often appointed Black leaders who were compliant, passive, or dependent rather than strong, independent thinkers. So as a result, schools were run by people who didn't understand Black children. Churches were led by ministers more focused on popularity than spiritual growth. Political offices were filled with individuals who followed orders instead of activating for their communities. And organizations became symbolic rather than functional. Woodson believed this was no accident. He argued that miseducated, trained Black leaders, miseducation trained Black leaders to imitate white leadership styles, prioritize personal advancements, and avoid challenging the status quo. So his core message: a community cannot rise when its institutions are run by people who are not committed to its uplift. Ooh, okay. Not gonna go there, but I hear ya. So how to apply these things to your life? This chapter is all about accountability for leaders and for the people who choose them. So here's how Woodson's wisdom applies today. First, elevate the leaders you follow. Ask yourself, do they serve the community or do they serve themselves? Do they listen or do they perform? Do they build or do they brand? Your support is a form of power. Use it wisely. Second, don't confuse position with purpose. Just because someone has a title doesn't mean they're effective. Woodson reminds us that true leadership is measured by impact, not status. Third, if you're in a position of influence at work, in church, in your family, or in your community, lead with intention. Serve with humility. Do the work, not the performance. And four, hold institutions accountable. Schools, nonprofits, churches, and community organizations should reflect the needs of the people they serve. If they don't, speak up. Woodson believes silence enables miseducation. And finally, become the leader you wish existed. You don't need permission to create change. If the people in power aren't serving the community, you can be the one who does. I have to give a clap on that one myself. All right, on to our cause of the day: heart disease in the Black community. What is it? It's a range of conditions that affect your heart, including blood vessel diseases, heart rhythm problems, and heart defects. African Americans are 30% more likely to die from heart disease than non Hispanic whites. This is often linked to the silent killer, which is high blood pressure or hypertension. Nearly 48% of Black adults have some form of cardiovascular disease. So, symptoms: chest pain. Chest pain, which is angina. That's what it's called. Shortness of breath, numbness in the limbs, and extreme fatigue. Note: women often experience atypical symptoms like nausea or jaw pain rather than the Hollywood chest clutching heart attack. So, prevention: the Life's Simple 7 tips. Manage blood pressure, control your cholesterol, reduce blood sugar, get active, eat better, lose weight, and stop smoking. Resources to find out more information is the American Heart Association is a very, very good resource to look up. They also have the Go Red for Women initiative. All right, on to our history. Today in history, first up, we have Thomas Edison's light bulb patent in 1880. While many had tried, Edison was granted the patent for his carbon filament incandescent lamp today. This specific design was the first to be commercially practical, effectively ending the era of gaslight and changing how humans live, work, and dream in the dark. Second, Apollo 1 tragedy in 1967. During a pre-flight test at Cape Canaveral, a flash fire broke out inside the command module, claiming the lives of astronauts Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee. While a somber day, the disaster led to sweeping safety redesigns that eventually made the moon landing possible. And third, the liberation of Auschwitz in 1945. Soviet troops entered the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp in Poland, ending the horrors for those remaining. This day is now observed globally as International Holocaust Remembrance Day to honor the victims and the survivors. All right, on to African American history. First up, Leontine Price's Met debut in 1961. On this day, soprano Leontine Price made her spectacular debut at the Metropolitan Opera as Leonora in El Trovatore. I'll just mess it up today. El Trovatore. There we go. Her performance was so powerful, she received a 42-minute standing ovation, one of the longest in history of the house. She shattered the color bar in the world of high opera. Second, the legacy of Mahalia Jackson in 1972. We remember the passing of the Queen of Gospel. She was the voice of the civil rights movement, famously telling Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. during the March on Washington, quote, "Tell him about the dream, Martin," end quote. Her voice was a tool for spiritual and social liberation. And third, the Harlem Globetrotters are born in 1927. Though they didn't play their first road game until this day in 1927, this team started as a serious competitive force. Because Black players were excluded from the professional leagues, they created their own league of excellence, eventually blending world-class athleticism with the comedy and showmanship that made them global icons. I remember seeing them on TV and at the basketball games when I was younger. I think his name was Curly. I think I liked him. African American scientists and inventors. Hey, cool. First up, we got Garrett Morgan, inventor, most famous for the 3-position traffic signal in 1923. Before Morgan, lights had only stop and go, which caused frequent accidents. He added the yield or the yellow light, giving drivers time to clear the intersection. He also invented the safety hood, which became the precursor to the modern gas mask used by firefighters and soldiers. Knowing, I hope he realized that this yellow light, don't nobody pay attention to that yellow light. They just zoom right through them yellow lights so quick. Although it is there as a precautionary measure, people. Second up, we got Alice H. Parker, also an inventor. In 1919, she received a patent for the gas-powered central heating furnace. Before her design, people relied on wood-burning fireplaces, which were inefficient and dangerous. Her design was the first to use natural gas to heat an entire home through a system of ducts, the direct ancestor of modern HVAC systems. And last, we have Dr. St. Elmo Brady, who was a chemist. In 1916, he became the first African American to earn a PhD in chemistry in the United States. He revolutionized the study of organic acids and plant alkaloids. He spent his career building top-tier chemistry departments at HBCUs like Fisk and Howard, ensuring the next generation of Black scientists had a home base for research. All right, on to our Back to Roots segment, where we are still giving flowers to emperors and civilizations. First up, we have Great Zimbabwe Stone Architecture, a medieval city in the southeastern hills of Zimbabwe. Its most famous structure, the Great Enclosure, features walls over 30 feet high, built entirely from dry stone masonry, meaning no mortar or cement was used to hold the stones together. It remains a testament of African structural engineering and urban planning. Second up, we got Kemet, the Black Pharaohs. We are reclaiming the narrative of ancient Egypt, specifically the 25th dynasty, which was led by Kushite kings like Piye and Tukara. These Black pharaohs reunited Egypt, restored its ancient temples, and built more pyramids in the Sudan region than exist in all of Egypt today. And lastly, we have the Songhai Empire, Akia the Great. Following the fall of Mali, Songhai became the largest empire in African history. Akia Muhammad I, Akia the Great, revolutionized the government by creating a centralized bureaucracy and the standardized system of weights and measures, making it a global leader in trade and administration. Okay. All right. On to down the rabbit hole. Now, this is going to be a little long today, but stay with me. So let's pivot to another story that's gotten the digital world in an uproar, and it cuts right to the heart of cultural ownership and spiritual integrity. We're talking about the rise of what people are calling, forgive me for this one, y'all, but it was interesting to me, so stay with me if you don't mind. It's what people are calling MAGA witches and their controversial claim to be practicing hoodoo. You heard that right. Social media is flooded with videos and posts from individuals who identify as conservative, politically aligned with the Make America Great Again movement, opening claims to use hoodoo and root work to support their political figures and agendas. And if you're like me, your ears probably perked up, and not in a good way. This has ignited a firestorm within traditional spiritual communities. It's not just gossip, it's a critical conversation about cultural appropriation versus genuine understanding and respect. See, hoodoo, let's be very clear, is not some generic grab bag collection of spells you pick up on a TikTok video. Hoodoo is a closed tradition. What does that mean? It means was specifically developed, preserved, and handed down by enslaved African Americans in the American South. It was born out of necessity, a spiritual technology created for survival, for liberation, for justice, when every other avenue was closed off. It was a means for the oppressed to find power. Traditional practitioners, the root workers, the elders in this practice are speaking out with a unified voice. They are saying, you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot separate the power and magic of hoodoo from the Black experience of resistance and liberation. It is intrinsically tied to our ancestral struggle against oppression. So when you see individuals who publicly align with political ideologies that many within the Black community perceive as actively hostile, or at least indifferent to the well-being of Black people, claiming to wield hoodoo, is seen as more than just a misunderstanding. It's preserved as a spiritual violation. It's seen as disrespecting the very ancestors who created this tradition to fight the forces of oppression, only for it to be co-opted and supposedly used to support those very same forces. The debate is fierce. Some argue for freedom of spiritual practice, but the overwhelming consensus from those within the tradition is that this is a blatant act of appropriation. It's stripping a sacred, hard-won spiritual system of its context, its meaning, and its origin, and attempting to weaponize it for future purposes directly opposed to its fundamental spirit. So these aren't just sensational stories. They're profound reminders. The New Orleans story reminds us that there are forces beyond our comprehension, that the spiritual world has its own justice system. And the Magna Witch's story is a stark, powerful lesson in cultural integrity and spiritual sovereignty. It teaches us that our traditions, born from resilience and struggle, are not commodities to be co-opted. They are sacred. They are protected. And those who try to claim them without honoring their roots, well, they might just find themselves like those agents in New Orleans, encountering a pushback they did not expect or see coming. The videos and comments on this topic had me up to like 3 o'clock in the morning, laughing with the tears in my eyes at the comments. The two ancestors they were most recommended to call or talk to would love to respond to them. And when y'all do, please post about the responses you get, because I would love to know how that worked out for you. All right, on to my fact or fiction, where we are still spotlighting government shadows. First up, we have, and forgive, these are not, they're a little disturbing, so just wanting to forewarn you guys. First up, we have Project Sunshine. Not sure if many people remember these or know what these are, but that's what I'm here for. But do your own research as well. So Project Sunshine. This was a secret program launched by the U.S. government, the AEC, or the Atomic Energy Commission, and the RAND Commission, RAND Corporation, to study the effects of radioactive fallout from nuclear testing on the human body. So the claim is, during the 1950s, the government snatched the bodies of deceased infants and children without, I repeat, without parental consent to test the effects of radioactive fallout. So to get accurate data, the government needed bone samples from children and infants whose tissue were very young to absorb radiation more quickly. The strontium-90, scientists were specifically looking for strontium-90, a radioactive isotope that behaves like calcium and gets absorbed in the bones. So is this fact or fiction? This indeed is fact. The classified documents confirm that researchers worldwide collected Project Sunshine samples to measure the strontium-90 in human bones during the Cold War. Whew. It took him, it was hard for me to get through that one. I'm sorry. The second one, Operation Northwoods. This was a proposed false flag operation designed by the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff to justify a military invasion of Cuba. So the claim is in 1962, the Department of Defense proposed that the CIA commit acts of terrorism in U.S. cities and blame them on Cuba to justify a war. The top secret documents propose that the CIA and other agents commit acts of terrorism against American civilians and military targets and blame the Cuban government by blowing up a U.S. ship in Guantanamo Bay, orphaning people by staging bombings in the U.S. cities like Miami, faking a hijacking and shooting down a drone aircraft disguised as a civilian charter flight. The verdict, fact or fiction? This is indeed fact. This was real. It was a signed proposal by the Joint Chiefs of Staff. However, it was rejected by President John F. Kennedy and never implemented and remained classified until 1997. Whew. And last, MK Often. While many know about MK Ultra, MK Often was its lesser known, more aggressive younger brother. It was a joint program between the CIA and the Army Chemical Corps, Edgewood Arsenal. So the claim, a specific branch of MK Ultra that focused on the occult, black magic, and demonology to see if spiritual forces could be used as weapons. While MK Ultra forced the brainwashing, MK Often focused on the toxicology and behavioral effects of exotic drugs and chemical agents. By animal and human testing, they tested a wide range of incapacitating agents on animals and eventually on unwilling humans, including prisoners and military personnel. The occult connection, one of the most bizarre aspects of the legend, often discussed in midnight segments, is that the CIA reportedly consulted with occultists, palm readers, and Satanists during this period to see if supernatural forces could be weaponized or used for psychological warfare. Verdict, fact or fiction? This is indeed, again, fact. While it sounds like a movie, declassified files show the CIA did hire psychics and occultists in the late 60s to explore non-traditional warfare. So, as an FYI side of what I went down a little further, so AEC stands for the Atomic Energy Commission. It was established in 1946 to manage the U.S. nuclear arsenal and promote peaceful atomic energy. So their status today is that this agency is closed and replaced. The reality, the AEC was officially abolished in 1975. However, it was split into two agencies that you definitely know today: the Department of Energy and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Okay, they didn't go away. They just got a new suit and a bigger office. The RAND Corporation is supposedly a high-level think tank founded in 1948, originally by the Douglas Aircraft Company, to provide research and analysis to the U.S. military. Their status today is they're fully operational. The reality, RAND is still one of the most powerful and influential think tanks in the world. As of January 2026, they are actively publishing research on AI competition with China, wildfire management, and the global and national security. They remain a primary advisor to the U.S. government and military. And MK Ultra and MK Often. Status is officially terminated. The reality, these programs were officially shut down in 1973 by CIA Director Richard Helms just before the Watergate scandal broke. But while the projects ended, the CIA, the agency that ran them, is obviously still operational. Historians and skeptics often argue that while the names MK Ultra and MK often are dead, the research is into them is into behavioral and modification and interrogation tactics, likely moved into even more secretive and unnumbered black budget programs. In late 2024 and 25, new declassified files were released that confirmed even more institutions, 80 plus universities, were involved in were involved than previously thought. So keeping the topic is very much alive in the news. So these universities that assisted in these programs of MK Ultra, MK Often, or Project Sunshine that I just talked about, they are often front organizations to hide the CIA's involvement in schools that we actually send our children to, we have attended, and everything. So I have that list of institutions, universities, and even penal institutions. So believe me when I say in plain sight literally means in plain sight, but also deniability. So yeah, I had fun doing that one. I learned a lot, but it also makes you think of what those agencies did and those government programs then and what is going on now. That's why I decided to focus on that today. All right, let's move right along. Our tech tip of the day, the incognito flight hack. Always use incognito mode or private browsing when searching for flights in hotels. Why? Travel sites use cookies to track your interests. So if you visit the same flight path twice, they often raise the price because they know you're ready to buy. Browsing private keeps the prices at baseline. So how to do this? Press Control-Shift-N in Chrome or Command-Shift-N in Safari before you start your vacation planning. Or that's, if you're using a laptop or something or a desktop. All right, on to our finance tip of the day, the high yield pivot. Move your emergency fund from a traditional big name bank to a high yield savings account. The fact, traditional banks often pay 0.01% interest. So HYSAs, often at online banks, can pay between 4 and 5%. On $10,000, that's the difference between making $1 a year and $500 a year. All right, on to our fun fact of the day, the oldest university in the world. The world's oldest continuously operating degree-granting university was founded by a Black woman. Fatima Alfire founded the University of Al-Qarawiyyin in Fez, Morocco in 859 AD. While many people point to Oxford or Bologna, which looks like the word Bologna, which is Bologna to me, this African institution was granting degrees in natural sciences and logic. This African institution was granting degrees in national sciences and logic centuries before they even opened their doors. So higher education has deep roots in the African continent. All right, fun holiday of the day. Many people is going to like this one is it's National Chocolate Cake Day. Until the 1830s and 40s, chocolate was primarily consumed as a beverage, not a solid food. It wasn't until the Dutch process was perfected that cocoa powder could be mass produced, leading to the first chocolate cakes appearing in America around 1847. This is one of the most popular foodie holidays on the calendar. Whether it's German chocolate, molten lava, or classic devil's food, today is about indulging in a bit of decadence. Sorry if you guys hear my dogs, but they are going wild out there. All right, our quote of the day comes from the Beyonce Blueprint. And it reads, and I quote, "I see us reflected in the world's most heavenly things. Black is king. We were beauty before they even knew what beauty was." Today is about confidence. And Queen Bey reminds us that our excellence isn't new, it's ancestral. Walk into your office today knowing you are the standard. All right, on to our music and entertainment. First up, we got Tim's and Kendrick Lamar studio leaks. Fresh off a London recording session, whispers of a fall collaboration EP between the Queen of Alte and Pulsar Kinney are heating up. Their sounds, one rooted in Nigerian soul and the other in West Coast lyricism, represent the bridge currently being built between the African continent and the diaspora. Second up, the Apollo Theater's digital expansion. The historic Apollo Theater in Harlem has announced a 2026 virtual stage initiative. Since 1934, the Apollo has been the proving ground for Black talent. This new tech will allow fans globally to watch Amateur Night live via VR, keeping the 120th Street energy alive for a new generation. And last, we have Victoria Monet's Mastery. Monet is reportedly moving into film scoring for 2026. After dominating the R&B chart, she's following in the footsteps of legends like Quincy Jones, who proved that Black musicians can be the architects of a film's entire emotional atmosphere. All right, on to celebrity gossip. Social media is buzzing about the potential romance between WNBA star Angel Reese and a top 5 NBA draft pick. However, the real gossip is their legal team. Rumor has it they are filing joint trademarks for a lifestyle brand. In the NIL, which is name, image, and likeness era, young Black athletes are moving like Fortune 500 companies before they even hit 25. Also, we have Afrobeats giant Burna Boy is reportedly meeting with venture capitalists in Lagos this week. He isn't looking for a record deal. He's rumored to be launching a fine tech app aimed at African creators. This is part of the Silicon Lagoon movement, where Nigeria's tech sector is becoming a global leader in mobile banking and digital access. And last, a major comedian, think Kevin Hart or Gerard Carmichael, is allegedly scouting land for a second studio in the Midwest. The goal is to create a content hub outside of the LA-New York hubble. Following the blueprint of Tyler Perry, owning the dirt where the art is made is the ultimate flex in 2026. All right, on to our celebrity birthdays. First up, we got Tammy Mack, will be 56 today. She's a legendary voice in radio on KJLH. It's only right that we give a grand rising to a sister behind the mic. And we also would like to give heavenly birthdays to Tamara Dobson. She played Cleopatra Jones and stood 6'2". That's a big lady. Also to Bobby Blue Bland, the Lion of the Blues, John Witherspoon, and Ronaldo Ray, both comedian and actors who performed in many television shows and films. All right, on to our lifestyle segment. Our soul food recipe of the day is turkey meatloaf with sweet onion glaze. Lean turkey cut saturated while delivering a classic comfort with strawberry lime infused water. All right, men, your health tip of the day is add omega-3s to your diet. Supports heart health and reduces inflammation. So sources for omega-3s are salmon, walnuts, and flaxseed. Your fashion tip of the day, that was a big lady, Ray. 6'2". Oh, yeah. Men's fashion tip of the day is match your belt and shoes. A simple rule that instantly elevates your outfit. Women, our health and beauty tip of the day is use a silk pillowcase. It reduces hair breakage and helps maintain moisture in natural hair. Women's fashion tip of the day is add a pop of color. A bright bag or shoe brings life to any neutral outfit. Our household chore of the day is wipe down those light switches and door handles. High touch areas collect germs, so use a quick disinfectant to keep your home healthy. All right, women, our auto mechanics 101 for today is learn the dashboard warning lights. Yellow is caution, obviously, and red means immediate action and attention. Not, oh, I'll wait, or it'll go away, or it just pops on every now and then. No, knowing the difference prevents costly repairs. So you something, anything red on that dashboard, get it checked out immediately. Don't wait. All right. In relationships for couples, practice active appreciation. Tell your partner one thing you value about them today. Not just that they took out the garbage or, they left the toilet seat down. Just say something that you actually appreciate about them. In friendships, share a resource, a podcast, article, or an opportunity. And family, do a 10-minute tidy as a group. Quick teamwork keeps the home peaceful and clean, and you don't have to hear mom's mouth. All right, before they were legends, our spotlight today is Malcolm X. Before Malcolm X became one of the most influential voices in Black liberation, he was Malcolm Little, a boy whose family was torn apart by racial terrorism. His father was killed under suspicious circumstances. His mother was institutionalized. Malcolm bounced from foster homes, dropped out of school after a teacher told him a lawyer wasn't a realistic goal for a Negro, and eventually fell into street life. By 20, he was in prison, angry, brilliant, and searching for purpose. That's where the transformation began. He devoured books, studied history, sharpened his mind, and rebuilt himself from the inside out. When he walked out of prison, he walked into destiny, becoming Malcolm X, a global symbol of Black pride, discipline, and self-determination. So rock bottom can be the foundation of your rise. All right, last but not least, the daily horoscopes. First up, Aries. A surge of adrenaline helps you leap into an executive role. People are watching your lead. Your lucky numbers today are 4, 15, and 26. Taurus. With the moon in Gemini today, it's time to adjust your savings plan. Wealth is expanding. Lucky numbers for you today are 6, 17, and 28. Gemini. You have high social energy. Use it for collaborations that require a twin perspective. Your lucky numbers today are 3, 12, and 21. Cancer. Methodical planning today prevents a headache tomorrow. Stick to your list. Your lucky numbers today are 2, 11, and 20. Leo. Let go of a burden you've been dragging. I'm going to repeat that for somebody. Let go of a burden you've been dragging. If it's not organic, it's not yours to carry. Your lucky numbers today are 1, 10, and 27. Virgo, your hard work in the background is about to pay off. A creative payday is coming. Your lucky numbers are 5, 14, and 23. Libra, playfulness is your best medicine. Find joy in a hobby you haven't touched in a while. Your lucky numbers today are 7, 16, and 25. Scorpio, tweaking your home environment brings you peace. A small decor change shifts the vibe. Lucky numbers for you today, Scorpio, are 9, 18, and 27. Sagittarius, your words have weight today. Use them to organize a team toward a common goal. Happy birthday, Rock. Cousin Rock. Happy birthday, Rock. Rock on, rock on. Okay, where was that? Sagittarius, your words have weight today. Use them to organize a team toward a common goal. Your lucky numbers today are 8, 17, and 35. Capricorn, a professional jackpot is looming. Expect a call that changes your status. Your lucky numbers today are 4, 13, and 31. Aquarius, you are the architect of the future today. New formats of work are favoring you. Lucky numbers for you today are 6, 24, and 42. And Pisces, avoid risky investments today. Focus on steady, incremental progress instead. Your lucky numbers today are 2, 19, and 28. At this time, I would like to thank our sponsors. First up, we have Bellow Burn Hot Sauce. Bold taste, big kick. Bellow Burn keeps the city spicy. RAS Herbals, natural remedies, real results. RAS Herbals keeps the community grounded. And Calorine Candles, soft light, strong energy. Calorine Candles elevates every space. And Universal Madness, the official sponsor of the Chief and Go show. Style with a statement, University Madness keeps the culture fitted. And our announcements today, rather this morning, excuse me. Tonight is Kickback with Cookie, with special guests is me, Mell B, at 7 p.m. Eastern Time at Lux Radio Network on all platforms except TT, and watch us on luxradio.com. All right, that's a wrap for this Tuesday, y'all. Keep your spirit light, your boundaries firm, and your joy protected. Celebrate the small wins and stay open to blessings headed your way. I would also like to send prayers to Minnesota and around our nation today. So until tomorrow morning, my kings and queens, stay looking fly, stay grounded in your own truth, and don't let nobody tilt your crown. Period.